Good morning, everyone. Leah Dixon here from Port Coquitlam, British Columbia, and I am live again this week with another card class to go. So if you are new to my site, every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m.-ish on Pacific Standard Time, I go live with a 3-card class to go. So this week I'm featuring the Amazing Year stamp set. This is a beautiful stamp set from our Stampin' Up's annual catalog. And how it works is I show you guys 3 cards, and then with a minimum $50 purchase before shipping and taxes, I will send you the make and take kits to make 2 of each of the 3 cards. And with a $70 purchase, you get a little extra something, often an embellishment. In this case, this week, it's actually a little 24-sheet stack of the DSP that I'm using on these cards. So the DSP is actually a host DSP and will be retiring at the end of the month because it's part of our mini catalog. So let's just focus onto my desktop and we'll get started stamping. And if you want to say hi as you pop on, I love to see who's here and joining me today. So this is our Amazing Year stamp set. It doesn't have dies or anything to coordinate with it. It's just a beautiful stamp set all on its own. There's 2 main focal images and 5 sentiments and 1 beautiful one for the inside of a card. You're an entire year more amazing and lovely as ever. So just really, really beautiful. All right. So I'm going to move those off to the side. So our first card today is kind of a new fun little thing. Oh, hi. It says from Prince George. So I'm guessing that's Nancy. Nice to have you on again this morning. So this is kind of a really fun cut and a really easy way to make what kind of looks like a fancier card. So in your kit, you'll get double everything I'm about to show you. I'm just showing you my one little kit here. So you'll get all of your embellishments that you need for all of your cards. So I'm going to set those to the side. We're not putting those all on this one card. That'd be a lot. And so what you've got, I don't often do this kind of card, but it's the kind of card that's going to stand tall. I need to use my bone folder so that that will actually close and stand. So we have a thick, basic white card base that's going to stand up like that. So that's what we're starting with. And then we have some Pacific Point, some of the fantastic designer series paper that I was talking about from the Celebrate Everything host DSP. And we're going to get started by gluing those to their cardstock bases. So you could really do this card with any designer series paper, like 2 coordinating papers. And so we're going to glue this one to its larger card base. There we go. Now I like to use liquid glue because I am not fantastic at lining things up the first go. So I need to be able to wiggle them around a bit. There we go. You can use any adhesive you want for this though. However you'd like. Now we're not going to glue that one down yet. We have some work to do first. Then we're going to take our other designer series paper and glue it down as well so that it's got an equal border. There. And here we go. So I'm super happy to be making some birthday cards this week because December has a lot of birthdays for my family at least, and January even more. So I need to be prepared. All right, so now that I've got those 2 pieces of designer series paper glued to their cardstock bases. Oh, hi, Lila. Minus 31. Oh, my goodness. I have not experienced that since I was a young girl. Oh, my gosh. Stay inside and craft with me, Lila. This is an exciting card. It's actually really simple. So we're going to take this piece where we glued our DSP onto this nice border. We're actually going to come in here and cut it not quite in the center. So we've got kind of a bigger and a smaller piece. And this is where the excitement of this card comes from, is we're going to, now for this one, I'm not going to use liquid glue, you guys, because I don't want to get glue all over my scissors. So what we're going to do now, Lila, is we've got this piece that has our designer series paper on it. This is like pretty much going to cover our card front later, but we haven't glued it down yet. We're going to take these two pieces that we've just cut apart. We're going to turn them around and glue them down so that I can't, like, it's going to cover up those two corners. So find the diagonal that looks right to you. If you want to be all fancy about this and, you know, get a ruler and measure to make it perfect, go for it. I kind of, depending on what your DSP background is, you've got to adjust your angles, I find, because it'll look weird if you've got like a stripy background and then the diagonal's not quite right. So I like that. So to hold that kind of in place, I'm grabbing a ruler and putting it here. That's going to allow me to at least get it like straight with each other and not change up my diagonal. So I'm going to go right across the top, and then I'm going to come most of the way down the sides, but not all the way. And then I'm going to go right down the center. All right, that's going to ensure that I get full coverage. Now, again, when I go to replace this, my biggest concern is that I'm covering the corner. The rest of it I'm not so concerned about, but I have to cover that corner because I don't want it showing. Now I'm going to take my other side and same thing. The end that has the nice border, I'm going straight across, going most of the way down my two sides and all the way down my very center. And then coming back in and again, making sure I'm covering up that, that corner. Okay, so now we've got those two pieces on there on a diagonal with that fun little gap in the middle and the border and everything. Now we're going to flip this over and you can see, I do see some of my adhesive. That's okay. The big point was I didn't want to be getting a ton of adhesive on my scissors. And now I'm going to use the back here as my guide. Now you could do this on a paper trimmer as well. Totally works. I just find my snips are easy. And you're just cutting off this excess paper. There we go. So I don't know. If you're a real reuser, you could save those little triangles and do something, but I'm not going to take the time to find a project for those. Too small. All right. So now we have our card base all created and ready to go onto our card front. Yeah, it's kind of a cool idea, isn't it? I've done something similar, but usually I hide the gap. So like to save DSP, I'll hide the gap behind something if I'm trying to put a strip of DSP. So this is a bit different because now we're highlighting the gap, making it part of the focus of our card. All right, so now that we've got that done, we can glue this whole layer to our card front. And again, I am going to use liquid glue because I need to. Okay, now I do want kind of the shorter piece at the top. Now, I guess depending on what you choose to decorate your card with, you may actually want to reverse that. But for me and what I'm using on my card, I want my shorter piece at the top. Uh-oh, there's adhesive on my tabletop. There we go. Now it's gone. All right, so there's our card base all ready to go. Oh, the paper is truly beautiful. It is. The shapes are fun, but the paper is what just I absolutely adore about this card. All right, so now I have this little Pacific Point circle. I cut it out using the beautiful shapes dies. So I rely so much on my stylish shapes dies, and they're actually out of stock right now, you guys. So I didn't want to show people a product that they couldn't run out and grab if they didn't have. I do still highly recommend getting the stylish shapes when they're back in, but these beautiful shapes are really fun too. We've got all these hexagons. This is my favorite piece. It's this circle that has this like slight embossing along the edges. So it's not just a plain circle. And then we've also got the oval and the rectangular-ish piece that has that same embossing, plus just a bunch of circles and some little parallelograms and triangles. So you can do a lot of really cool geometric stuff with this set. I'm actually only using the circle on these cards, but it is a really cool set. So we've got our Pacific Point circle. You want to grab your embossing buddy from the Embossing Editions kit and just give that a little run over, because any oils from your fingers from touching it and stuff, our embossing powder will stick to it, and then you've got a big mess to clean up before you can heat anything. Now I've got this gorgeous birthday wishes. The sentiments in this, like the fonts and everything, are just, I love them. And we're just going to ink that up with some Versamark. There we go. And I need to stand up to do this one. So you want to make sure you're getting your words inside those embossing lines. There. And then I've got my powder pal, my little tray here with my embossing powder already just sitting waiting. You don't have to keep your embossing powder sitting and waiting for you. I just, I find I use it more when it's readily available to me. All right, a little bit more. Okay, a little bit more on that A. All right, now you can see I did get a little bit of ink on here that I didn't want. So that's the nice thing about stamping with Versamark, is you won't be able to see that later, and I can wipe the powder off of it so it really disappears. Okay, so that little brush also comes in your Editions embossing kit. And then I'm going to hold on to this with my reverse tweezers so that I don't burn myself while I heat this up. So here we go. All right, so our sentiments all heat embossed now. Now, before we add our sentiment to our card, which we'll do with dimensionals, and so I'm going to actually put those on the back right now before I forget. So the way I'm going to do this is I want one dimensional kind of up in this corner. I do a lot of flipping around when I do this kind of stuff because I want to make sure I get them kind of where I want them. And then I'm going to overkill it, as always, by putting one down at the bottom. All right, so I've got 3 dimensionals on the back of that. And I'm going to take a piece of, this is actually Sweet Sorbet metallic ribbon. It's very pinkish in color though, which I quite like. And, oh, and see if my hands will function this morning to make a bow. I do get a lot of pains with the colder weather, and my hands are not happy this morning. So we'll see. We'll do the best we can. All right. So I want this like giant floppy, like going to stick out the ends kind of giant bow. Now, I maybe don't want it quite that giant. Now we can test it before we do anything and just make sure, like, yeah, that's sticking out maybe a bit farther than I want it to. Okay, So that's looking good. So we're going to attach that with a mini glue dot. Oh, somebody just said hi, but it just says Facebook user. So I'm not sure who has joined us, but welcome. And we're just working on our first card. So I'm going to pop this in here. I'm going to put down a mini glue dot, pop that down onto my mini glue dot, and then I'm going to put my sentiment over top. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I really had a lot of fun with this one. It's just, you know, it could be adult, kid, male, female, doesn't like, it's just fun. Let's go party. So there we go. And now the last thing to do is just to trim our ribbons. Now, some of you are huge fans of those wild off the card ribbons. I am not. So I'm going to trim mine up and let it be a bit calmer. And then I'm also going to do something. This really bothered Noah. He didn't like that I had my ribbons going. Actually, I don't like it on this one now. I did this on the original one where the ribbons went the opposite ways, and he didn't like that. He wanted it to look like a hidden bow. So there we go. We'll keep this one nice for him. No, we won't. There we go. I like that better. Okay. So just play with those ribbons until they sit how you like them. And that is our finished card. So now you have this beautiful spot inside where you could do whatever you'd like. I actually... I might, oh, it's already on a block. I might actually put this sentiment in every one of the cards I make today because I love it so much. I already read it earlier, but it's just so beautiful. You're an entire year more amazing and lovely as ever. And I don't know. It's such a nice sentiment. So you don't have to add that in, but I'm going to. I'm going to put this one in using Pacific Point to kind of tie the whole thing together because we've got the Pacific Point in the DSP, and then we've got our cardstock, and now we've got it as our sentiment inside our card. So there you have it. That's our first card, and it looks a little complex, but it's actually just a little bit of gluing. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. Our next one is definitely more feminine and uses my favorite DSP in the entire pack. This green shaded spruce with Pool Party with those overlapping circles. I don't know, there is just something about it that I adore. So yeah, we've got that. And let me bring my kit in here. So you guys will get a kit that has double what I'm showing. Oh, I forgot to embellish my last card. I'm sorry, you guys. We're going to take a step back. So when you get your embellishments, you're actually going to get more than you actually need. My goodness, I can't believe I forgot that. And so you're using a large, a small, and a medium on your card front. Thought there was something missing. There we go. So yeah, embellish it. All right, with that embellished, it reminded me when I saw them on this one, they stand out a bit more on this one. So you're going to get double what you need to create your cards. I've only got a singular pack here. You guys will get what you need to make two. So we'll start by using a bone folder to crease our card base, because your card bases come flat like mine just was shown. It is scored but not folded. And we're going to start by getting our big piece of white to the inside of our card, because I don't want ink or anything ending up on it. I don't want it getting accidentally stamped on because we grab a piece of paper to stamp our bouquet, and yeah. So we're going to pop that inside our card right away. I know it is a Pool Party card base, so it is light enough to write on, but there's just something very finished to me about a card that has the white insert. Oh, I have I had no more of these, and now I have so many. I bought like a ton of packs, so we're all good to go. That's funny. Yeah, sometimes I do. Sometimes I get on these card binges and I use up all my embellishments, and it's awful. All right. So the next step to this card is we're going to sort through here. We're going to create the background of our card. And so it looks like it's just like a lot of DSP and stuff, but actually it's a shaded spruce base. And then we're going to put DSP stripes onto it. So both of these DSPs are from that same pack as the first card, the Celebrate Everything. And then the backs are kind of fun, like fireworks and chevrons and all sorts of stuff. So really cool. So to do these ones, I am for sure using my liquid glue because there's no way I'm going to get this lined up properly. The trick to doing this is to start with the two outside edges. So you want to do your top and your bottom first. Sorry about the shaky hands this morning, guys. So top, and I think I'll do that one as the bottom. Top and bottom. They're all the same thickness. It's just because of the particular pattern. They all turn out just slightly different on these scalloped ones. It's a whole sheet of scallops and stripes. And so depending on where the cut falls, you end up with kind of a different look on each one. All right. So with those two in place, you want to just lay these out. We're not going to glue them down yet. Lay these out and make sure about our spacing on here. Because it's a little bit of a tight spacing. And the other thing you can do is if you're not loving the spacing, you want a bigger gap between pieces or whatever, you can always trim one of them down. Trimming down the center one would be pretty, like you wouldn't notice. Yeah, I actually like that though, but it is important that you see what your spacing is going to be before you start. And then I just start one piece at a time, pulling that out. Oh, good morning, Janet. Good morning, Gail. Yes, you know what? It's funny. This stamp set was kind of a sleeper for me. I didn't notice it at first. And then I had a couple of team members win prizes from me. When people promote and stuff, I send out little packages, and both of them who promoted asked for this as their prize. And I'm like, what is going on? What is this set even? I had to look it up. And so then once I saw it, I just fell in love with it. There we go. So we've got those two. So as you can see, again, I didn't just kind of go top to bottom. And then in the center, I've done the two outside ones first, so that I can make sure that once those ones are glued in, I do still have a nice little border on that center one. Because like I said, we can trim up that center one and just shave like 1/8 of an inch off if we need to, but we don't. All right, so now final piece here. And if you don't love using liquid glue, that's fine too. You just don't have the wiggle that I get. There we go. All right. So now we have that all done. Now, if your pieces are a little bit off and you're finding that you have either your pieces are just slightly shorter than the shaded spruce, your pieces are slightly longer than the shaded spruce, you can always pop it into your cutter and trim up the edges. Mine are just ever so slightly off, but not to the point where I feel like it's noticeable. So I'm not going to even bother trimming mine. I'm going to leave mine as it is, because it actually adds a little bit of like dimension and makes these ones look like they're a little bit popped up on the background. So with that done, and you can, again, this is a cool thing about this, you can do that with any designer series paper. Pick two that you like and go for it. This one is actually a case of a card in our mini catalog. Once the whole card's put together, I'll show you the card from the mini catalog, and you might just be a little blown away. They look so different, and yet they are exactly the same card. All right, so we've got our background created and glued down. The next step is to create that big focal image. And so that is our beautiful bouquet stamp set. Oops, just went really out of focus. There we go, back in focus. Sorry, guys. I desperately need a new phone and one with a better camera that I can fix the focal point and have it not zoom in and out. All right, so this guy you can stamp anywhere on this paper. We're not using it for anything else. I just wanted to give you lots of space. So we've got our image stamped in Memento Black, and then we're going to do a little bit of coloring. So I'm actually using 3 colors on this. I've got polished pink for the flowers, granny apple for the leaves, and then we're giving the whole outside a little run around with Pool Party so that it's not stark white on the background, the Pool Party background, and also so that our little white Enjoy Your Day tag pops out a bit more. So here we go. I started with my dark polished pink, and I used like the paintbrush tip, and really sloppy, just where they've got the flower centers and the little dots, I did a quick circle. Nothing fancy there. And then I took the paintbrush end of the light polished pink, and don't be alarmed by how bright it looks. It will change colors a bit as it dries. And I just came in and colored my flowers. And, you know, you can, of course, get a bit more fancy than I am. And, you know, maybe even use like the fun tip of your dark one and come in and do like a little bit of additional shading or coloring or whatever you'd like to do on some of these flowers. I guess I'm doing it on mine now. So you can go in and do that. And then I find the fine tip is better for blending those things. Now you don't want to do too much though, because you don't want it to start to bleed out of the flower space. But you know, make these flowers yours, make them unique. Do what you'd like. Maybe if I'm going to do some of the accenting, I'll do it before I add my light. Okay, there we go. Just a little bit on there, a little bit on there. Okay, and then I'll add my light. So, you know, play around with the blends. They're really fun to use and get different looks. You can even add in some of that layers and tone and everything just by going over an area with the same, like, you know, just going over an area with the light multiple times will create a more subtle shading. Okay, there we go. So however you want these to look, it's totally up to you. Okay, so we've got our flowers colored. Now we're going to do our leaves. So our leaves, I started with the fine point of the dark granny apple, and I just went over our stems and a little stem up in there. Okay, now if you want, you don't have to do this. I'm just going to come in and do like a little dark line, not the whole leaf, but just a small dark line on the leaves. And it's pretty, it's fast, it's messy, it's like there's no perfection going on here at all. Okay, so a little dark line on each of the leaves, and then I use the fine tip of my light to come in and color these. You could use your paintbrush tip, but I find for some of these leaves, it's a little bit wide. So the fine tip works nicely, and the fine tip also helps blend that dark line in so it's not as stark. Okay. You can see I'm not being overly careful to stay completely inside the lines either. It's not that crucial for this design. All right, now the last thing we're going to do is I'm just going to use, oh, I think it was my light one. Yeah, I'm just going to use my light Pool Party and the paintbrush tip. And I'm coming in and filling in any white gaps in between, like the flowers and the leaves. And then I am doing a complete, not so careful outline of my flowers. Doesn't have to be too careful because we're going to be cutting this out. So if there's extra markings, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so and this step is one of those ones that nobody's really going to notice it unless you don't do it. Okay, so I just am really trying to take away any white that might be showing on this image other than that Enjoy Your Day label. You don't want any white showing. Okay, so now we need our paper snips, and we're going to cut this one out. And now what size of border you leave is completely up to you, but again, make sure that you're not leaving a border that has any white. You want to be cutting within your Pool Party lines. And so I don't do a lot of movement of my scissors. It's mostly me twisting the paper as I go around. All right. So hopefully as you guys are watching me do this, you are finished your Christmas card crafting and are able to start thinking about things that aren't Christmas. Or you're watching and thinking, oh, I could make a set of those, put them in a cute little box. We have all those sweet little boxes, and use that as a Christmas gift for someone. Because at this point, your items, if you order stuff, your items will arrive before Christmas. Stampin' Up! Has said that December 12th is the deadline. Kind of like they won't guarantee it after December 12th. Doesn't mean it won't arrive before Christmas, but they won't guarantee it after December 12th. So you guys still have time to grab items. And then because you've got all the instructions and you'll have your little make and take kit, you'll have time to get these created as a gift for someone before the holidays. All right, so we have our little flowers cut out. We have our vellum circle, and this is that same vellum circle from the Beautiful Shape. So it has that little crease in it around the edges. And then we have a tiny strip here, and we're going to stamp Happy Birthday on there. And I used shaded spruce. Now, if you don't have shaded spruce, you could probably get away with any green or even do it in black. It's a very fine font, so the color doesn't really stand out. All right, so there's our Happy Birthday. Now, however you want to, you'll notice I stamped it kind of to the left because this side's going to get tucked under. Now, however you want to create your little flag tip, you can. I am a cheater and I use a retired punch. But you can use paper snips. We also actually have the Banners Pick a Punch. That one works really well as well. I just, old habits die hard. I'm so accustomed to using that old punch. So there we go. We get to add these pieces now. So I'm going to start by adding my flowers to my vellum circle. And when I do this, I'm not just going to like plop them down. I want to put it down so that the edge of where the leaves and the stems and everything meet and the tag, it all kind of covers up this whole half of the circle. So the tag is covering up the bottom of the circle. This is covering up part of the circle. So all of that I want put together so that it really covers that up. Now I am going to attach this with dimensionals. So I'm going to put a dimensional on the tag, a dimensional on the top of the flowers, the other side of the flowers, and on the stem of the flowers. There's 4 dimensionals on there. To start with, I'm only taking the adhesive off of the tag and the side of the flowers that's with the tag. That's all that I'm doing. And we're going to come in here and make sure that this goes on, covering those bits up. So now I still have these 2 dimensionals that don't have the adhesive backing off. That's on there. Next thing I'm going to do is attach my my vellum piece to my card front. And so to do that, I'm going to take any dry adhesive and behind where my flower covers it up, I'm going to put that dry adhesive. And then I'm also going to use a mini glue dot. Now, I'm going to put this mini glue dot where I am going to want an embellishment. So I'm going to kind of look at this and go, okay, I'd like it right there. So that's where my mini glue dot's going to go. Okay, so I've just put it right there where I'm going to end up with an embellishment. Now I can peel the backings off of these. And there we go. I want my circle to just go up into the top layer, and I want my stems just to go into the bottom layer, like just. All right. Now our happy birthday, we can attach. I didn't want to attach it earlier because I'll position it based on how it's going to end up on my card front. I want everything to actually end up on my card front. Now I might trim this a little bit. I might grab my snips. Uh-oh, where did I put them? Oh, beside me. There we go. So I'm going to trim that just a little bit. I don't want to trim it too much because I don't want anybody to be able to see where I trimmed it. And then I'm going to use the edging of my dimensionals. So I just cut out three little spikes on the side. And we'll peel that off. And this is going to go, now I need it to actually sit so that this stays completely on my card. So I might end up with it down below on this one. Okay, let's see. It's going to be a tight fit. Oh, and it doesn't quite. Darn it. So I guess I should have put my flowers over just slightly. Okay, let's see what we can do. I think what I'm actually going to do is put that there and be okay with it hanging just slightly off. That's still going to fit inside an envelope. So when I put it into my envelope, that should be fine. Let's just double check. Otherwise, I'll trim it a bit. Oh, it's just not going to make it. Okay, so we'll use our paper snips to trim that just the tiniest bit. Come in and snip. And snip. There. Now that's going to fit inside our card. Okay, inside our envelope. All right, so with that one done, so it's a little bit finicky and tricky there, we're going to embellish our card, and I didn't forget this time. So that dimension or mini glue dot that we put up there, we're going to cover it up. And oh, there it is. It's attached. Good. And we'll pop that there, and then a medium one down here. Now, I don't like to put these on the white dots. I don't know why. I like them where the circles all come together. So we've got that embellished. And that is our finished card. So it's kind of a cool thing. I told you guys I'd show you the card in the catalog. This, there's some ink on that. This is such a different card. Oh, now I'm not going to be able to find the page. Come on. There we go. So this is page 32 of your catalog. And you can see here we have the Christmas tree with the circle and the sentiment and that same layered look in the background. So using different DSPs, different focal points, you can create such a different looking card. And yeah, just a really fun layout. So that's one that you're definitely going to want to you know, have the instructions for so that you can recreate this with all kinds of DSP and images and everything. Such a good one. All right, so that was card number 2. Now card number 3 is, I think, my favorite, although it's also the most simple, but maybe that's why it's my favorite. This one could so easily be turned into a Christmas card if you're still in need of Christmas cards. Just change up your background DSP and your sentiment. Well, actually, you don't even have to change the sentiment. Just put Merry Christmas on the inside. Yeah, this one is just, it's my favorite. I love it. I'm also a sucker for plaid, so. All right. So you have, again, a thick basic white card base. I'm going to use our bone folder to close that. And before we glue anything down, we're going to get our sentiment and our bits put together on this one. So step 1 is to stamp that sentiment. And so we're going to pull out our additions kit again, use our embossing buddy. There we go. Then there we go to a wonderful friend. And we'll ink that up with Versamark. And this one gets stamped all the way over to the right-hand side of this card. We need space on the left for that little gift. All right, then we bring in our powder pal and emboss our words. Okay, that one looks well done. There we go. And this one I don't need my tweezers for because I've got lots to hold on to. So there's our sentiment strip. So this guy gets glued to our designer series paper right about center. Okay, you could actually, I was going to try this. I was going to do it a little bit lower and see if I liked that. So I'm actually going to do mine lower. We're going to glue it below center. So just making sure you leave enough space below. Looks like I need, let's see, I need at least an inch below so that the gift and the other ribbon can kind of hang. So I'm going to give myself an inch and a quarter. There we go. So an inch and a quarter below so that I have enough space for all those other things that are going to go down there. Okay, so that one gets glued on. And then we're going to take our ribbon, and this is a piece of pale papaya edged ribbon. I know our card is yellow. I'm using a pale papaya ribbon, and it works beautifully. I love it. So I'm actually going to flip my cardstock over. Now there's some wild stars on the back. It's a everything, celebrate everything pack. So you have all the holidays. You've got Halloween papers, Christmas papers, birthday papers, like you name it, it's in there. All right, so with that little bit of adhesive on the back, I'm going to tighten this ribbon up so that it's just that one satin edge is running along my crumb cake edge. And we're going to tuck those behind. Okay, so those are just in the adhesive on the back. That's what's holding it together. Now we're going to glue this to our card front. This is how you can get flat ribbons on your card without showing off fraying ends or having a knot that's bulging behind. Is we just use dry adhesive on the back to hold them down. And normally I would also use a little bit of dry adhesive on the front to hold it down, but we're going to be putting that gift over top, which will hold it in place. So it won't slide up and down. All right, so there is our card base kind of all created. And now we need that focal image. So I have a piece of just basic white cardstock again, and we're going to bring in that gift and stamp it in basic black right onto our piece of basic white. So there's a fairly generous piece in there. You don't have to be too concerned about like centering it and stuff, because we are just cutting this out. All right, so now I'm going to take my dark pool party. On our last card we used the light pool party. On this one I'm using the dark pool party, and everything that looks like a bud, they're actually kind of almost heart-shaped. I am going to go over it with my dark pool party. Then I'm going to take my light granny apple green and go over all of the leaves, the stems, everything that could be greenery. Okay. Oops, that one should have been a bud. I'll go back over that in a minute. Okay, so that, now I'm going to go back over some of my buds. I clearly missed a few here. Go back over them in pool party. Make them really stand out, as much as buds can stand out. There we go. That one. All right, so we have our little greenery colored in on there. Now I'm going to use dark So Saffron. And I'm going to start with my paintbrush tip. This is a little tricky. You do have to press very lightly because it is a little wide for this. But if you give it a really light touch, you should be able to stay inside the lines. If you're finding that's too challenging, then use the thinner tip, and it'll just be a bit of a slower go. All right. Now I am going to go over the inside of my ribbon a few times to make it a bit darker. There we go. Actually, so yeah, I just want that a little bit darker on the inside of that ribbon. All right, so now before I do my next step, I am going to cut this out. This one's a pretty fast cut because it's mostly straight lines, and I'm not really leaving a border on this one. I am literally just cutting on the outside of the black line. So I don't need to go over this with pool party or anything like that. I'm not leaving an 1/8 of an inch border. I'm just cutting to the outside edge of the black line. And there we go. All right, almost done. do find that letting those pieces snip and fall off really does help, because then they're out of your way for finishing up your cutting. All right, so that's done. Get our scraps out of the way. Now, this is going to go onto our card front with dimensionals, and I'm going to use a lot of them. I'm going to use 4 on this because we're going to, actually I'm going to use 5. I need 1 in the center because we're going to be adding an embellishment to the center, and I'm going to be painting this once it's on my card. Now, some of you may not want to do that. You may want to paint it, set it to dry, and then adhere it later. I'm not that kind of stamper. I'm lazy. So I've put that on a diagonal right beside our sentiment. Now I'm going to grab my embellishments and pop one, the largest one, into the center. That's my only embellishment on this card. You could put more on if you want. You're going to have extras. And then the final touches to this is something you may not even be able to see on the screen. But that gift actually has like a little shimmer to it because I went and painted all the white parts with Wink of Stella. And so I do this after I've added it to the card. That way I don't have to wait for anything to dry. Because, yeah, I'm just that lazy. And I just set these out as finished cards to dry and put them away. It doesn't actually take long for Wink of Stella to dry, like 5 minutes max. And that's only if you put, like, sometimes I'll do splatters that take a bit longer to dry. And this is pretty quick stuff. Okay. And even in those little spaces between the ribbon, you come in and just add that Wink of Stella. There we go. And so you can add more, like add a thicker layer if you'd like, or just keep it really subtle. Okay, and that is our 3rd card completed. So our cards from today are right here, all 3 beautiful, beautiful birthday cards. And of course, we've got that gorgeous sentiment. Where did I put it? There we go. You're an entire year more amazing and lovely as ever, that we can stamp on the inside of all of those. Totally easy to change up for Christmas. Yep. Might be doing that if I run out of cards, because I sold more cards at craft fairs than I had anticipated, so I'm hoping I'll have enough for everybody. But this might be my go-to Christmas card if not. So yeah, super easy to switch up and make all of these actually into Christmas cards. Change your DSP and your sentiment. Change your, well, maybe not even change your DSP, just change your image and sentiment. And voila, you've got Christmas cards again if you're still in Christmas card mode. All right. So thank you so much for joining me. I love these Wednesday morning card classes. And again, if you want the make and take bits to make these 6 cards to each of the 3 designs, placing a $50 order with me using my host code in the description of this video will get those sent to you. And a $70 order will also get you a quarter stack of the Designer Series paper. And you guys didn't even see all of the patterns. There's like some real Christmassy stuff, some pink snowflakes, and like all sorts of beautiful stuff, as well as a lot of other seasons, some fall stuff, some beautiful rainbows, like really awesome paper in there. Oh, you're very welcome, Nancy. Thank you for joining and watching. Glad you found me on YouTube. I do stream these live to both Facebook and YouTube at the same time. And thanks to StreamYard, I can see comments from both at the same time as well. So it's great. So if you enjoyed this, place an order, sign up for my newsletter so that you can make sure that you see all of my card classes. This one's available till Sunday night, and I do send out an email to my newsletter list that has the replay. So if you're not available on Wednesday mornings, I know lots of you work on Wednesday mornings and are watching the replay. Signing up for my newsletter is a great way to make sure you see the replay because it'll show up in your inbox. So yeah, have a wonderful day, everyone. And oh, a new thing, if you are not in Canada, then you can't place an order with me, but you may actually want the PDF tutorial for this. So I am starting to make just the PDF tutorial available for people who don't live within Canada, and you can contact me directly to get information about that, so that you can grab that with all the dimensions and everything. So yeah, that's about it. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.